been called to liberty, to freedom, to enjoy the freedom of being redeemed. I've been redeemed from the curse of the law, not because I went on a great magical quest and I slayed the dragon and went around the world 14 times and crawled up some stairs on my knees. I've been free from the curse of the law through the cross of Jesus Christ. So as these things come along, the concern becomes, so if I take away the law, does that mean all these bad things come? If I take away the works of merit, does that mean people just do what they want to do? So he says, you've been called to liberty. Guys, don't use your liberty as an opportunity for the flesh. We live in the land of the free, and for a lot of people that means, and I'll do whatever I want to do, and that's exactly what they do.
And there are a lot of brethren that unfortunately use this verse to justify some acts that God has not.
Yeah. Well, if you're using this verse to justify sinful acts that God hasn't authorized, okay, then you're misusing it. Yeah, by the way, if you're using this verse to say, I want to do what I want to do, I had a brother, he was trying to promote all sorts of things in worship, and he said, we just want to be free. Okay, guys, that's not what this is talking about. And you may think that's what it's talking about if you just pull it out here and I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it the way I want to do it. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you're free from the bondage of sin. You're free from the burden of having to earn your salvation, right? That's what you're free from. But by the way, when people, I wonder if this is a more of an American problem than other nations' problems, because we are fantasize about freedom in a very different way in the American experiment. But to understand that when people are taking this to mean, I want to do something and you can't ever say that anything's wrong, I just wonder if they really are appreciating what it means to be free from sin, what it means to be free from the curse. See, you remember one of the things we talked about is that a lot of people, they don't get the gospel because they don't feel lost, right? They don't feel that burden, that desperation, that I can't do this, right? That worm theology, right? The worm that I am, that I am the wretch, sort of. They don't feel that. So in the gospel, they don't feel, oh, that's the freedom. You can preach that on the 4th of July if you want, about what freedom really is in the Bible. Okay, We've not been free just to do whatever we want to do. We've been freed from the burden, from the curse, from the overwhelming having to justify ourselves. That's you guys know that. We've been in this class all week. You've heard that, right? But here's the thing. That's one reason I have to teach and preach on this, because people don't understand that. Okay, and they do really strange things with freedom. But the concern is, okay, so if you take away the law, and you say, yeah, we're free, liberty, and then people are just going to do whatever they want to do. Y'all ever read like the Lord of the Flies? Y'all ever read that? Yeah. Oh, it's a great book, right? And this idea, these kids who are put on this island and all of their restraints are taken off, right? There's no teachers, there's no rules, there's no police officers, and what happens? They go, right? Well, sometimes that's what people think is going to happen when you take away the importance of you must do this, you must do this, you must do that, right? As the thrust of what we're saying. And Paul says that would be wrong, that would be sinful. Liberty is not an opportunity for the flesh. Liberty is not an opportunity for the flesh, but liberty is an opportunity for us to serve one another. Do not use your liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love, serve one another. See a seamless transition in his argumentation here, guys. Do not see a heart break. Do not see, we're talking about how we're justified, and now we're gonna talk about loving one another. These are not two separate sermons that just, you know, sometimes they put chapter breaks in really funny places in the Bible, and you're like, well, even, I think we probably saw that in Galatians, or like, the first verse of chapter 5 really is the conclusion of the argument in chapter 4.
It's the same way.
Yeah, so I mean, and the Bible's full of stuff like that. Well, that's not what this is, right? This is not a place where they probably should have put a paragraph right there. Like, we got a whole different thought going on here. Maybe this is his sermon from another week and they just put it on the end. That's not what this is. This is that seamless transition of liberty is not an opportunity for the flesh. True liberty, Christian liberty, the liberty that Jesus died for on the cross, it leads us to the opportunity to actually be people that care about one another, that serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word. Even in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. True freedom manifests itself as slavery, as serving one another. It's a root of doulos. We talked about earlier.
I find it funny that there are many people that will quote when Jesus talked about in Matthew, what is the greatest commandment? To love the Lord thy God, all thy heart, and all thy soul, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. Yet, we know we couldn't keep that. And then Paul uses it here, and he takes out just the part of you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The fulfillment of that law, being in Christ, helps us to understand how we can love the unlovable, how we can even love ourselves. Because there are people that struggle with loving themselves. But if you love God, you have to be in fellowship with loving one another. He makes this same thought rhetorical theme throughout the New Testament.
Right.
You know,
The Old and the New Testament. This is at the core of what it means to be godly, right? Whether you're talking about the Old Covenant or the New Covenant, everything goes back to loving the Lord thy God with all the heart, soul, and mind, loving your neighbor, right? As yourself. That's what Jesus says.
Jesus said that to the
That's right.
Pharisees. He says, you're going down to the gram and to the flake.
That's right.
When you tithe, but you've forgotten the weightier matters.
These are the things that are significant, guys. And sometimes, especially when we start talking about application, I think sometimes we can get caught up in the fulfillment of the law because we become, or the will of God, because we become so specific. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, when you start talking about modesty, it's like one of the biggest mistakes you can make that will no doubt lead to Pharisaism is that you can say, okay, how short's too short? How low is too low?
Putting inches on the inseams.
Yeah. So if you've ever tried to engage in that conversation, you're about to become enemy number one for some people because either you went too high or too low. You're speaking where the Bible didn't speak, right?